Who doesn't like sugar? I believe none of us do. But do you know a lot about it? We only know that it is sugar, but sweetness does not always represent sugar. So today I'm going to inform you how science describes different types of sugar and how they affect us. So first, I'll talk about what we generally know about sugar. If we point out the word sugar, it will be sucrose, referring from sugarcane and sugar beet. Scientifically, sugar is constructed by carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. In another term, it is carbohydrate. One of the most significant physical properties of sugar is sweetness, but the sweetness is actually from the decomposition of glucose by your saliva. So what is the attraction of sugar? It provides us energy to survive and happiness. Things that have high sweetness usually accompanies with efficient energy. As long as you get enough energy, the easier to survive. As a result, the sweetness impacts the instinct in choosing food. That's why we are addicted to sugar. Furthermore, sugar also impacts the release of dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical substance of happiness released from your brain. The research from Avento et al. Suggested that sugar is noteworthy as a substance that releases dopamine and thus might be accepted to have addictive potential. As you already know what sugar is, I'll inform you different types of sugar scientifically. Most sugar exists in three ways: monosaturates, disaccharates, and polysaccharates. Sugar that has the most straightforward structure is monosaturates. Glucose is a common monosaccharide. In cells, glucose combines with oxygen and generates water, carbon dioxide, and energy, also known as the ATP. That's how humans typically gain energy. It is also noted by the Sugar Association that glucose is also applied in brewing. Sucrose added during the brewing process will decompose into glucose, generating yeast and finally generating the alcohol. Disaccharide is the combination of two monosaccharates. A common disaccharide is sucrose. Sucrose is the most common sugar in our lives, such as white sugar, brown sugar, and rock candy, etc. They're all made by sucrose. Although sucrose effectively brings us sweetness, obesity and diabetes are the most significant disease related to excessive sugar consumption. What we what our body do to excessive sugar, it will turn into fat, and the blood sugar level will unable to decrease since a huge amount of sucrose decomposes into glucose released into your vessels. That's how excessive sugar leads to the obesity and diabetes. And the last types of sugar is a polysaccharide. Starch is the most common polysaccharide. A fun fact is that as you are chewing rice or bread, which are carbohydrates, your saliva will decompose them into glucose. That's how you feel the sweetness from eating carbohydrates. Now I will talk about synthetic sugar. Can it be called sugar? Well, it has a name called sweeteners. Most of them are artificial and much more effective than natural sugar, but their safety still require further research. The definition of sweetener cited from the FDA is the ingredients used to sweeten and enhance the flavors of food. The characteristics of sweeteners are having high sweetness, contains few calories, so it won't cause diabetes. Finally, it won't enhance the blood sugar level, which won't cause diabetes. Aspartame is the most one of the artificial sweeteners having the characteristics that is 200 times sweeter than sucrose. Aspartame is also the most controversial sweetener in history, but the claim from the FDA guaranteed the safety of aspartame. Aspartame is one of the most exhaustively studied substance in human food supply, with more than 100 studies supporting its safety. However, consumers still lack information on whether the sweetness is secured. The safety assessment will be necessary to mention. Since sugar and sweeteners are food additives, all of them will require a safety assessment before being used. Consumers should notice the functions and properties of different sugar or sweeteners. Another criterion is toxicology assessment, which is used to test the harmlessness of substance toward animals. You have already know the functions and the knowledge of that sweetness exists around us. We can tell that sugar is the essential substance to support human activities, so recognizing it will be necessary to our health. While you enjoy the sweetness next time, you may try to identify what brings you sweetness and always remember steer clear of too much sweet. And that's all my presentation.